Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Cassandra Abel, and I am the Community Engagement Manager here at the Tampa Museum of Art. Well, not here at the Tampa Museum of Art because I am coming to you from home, where I will be helping all of you create some salt dough pinch pot. Cassandra Abel, and I am the Community Engagement Manager here at the Tampa Museum. Really quickly show you what I mean. So this is what we're going to end up with, right? A really fun pinch pot. But I wanted to give you guys some information right off the gate. If you logged in from the Eventini website, you will know that that you kind of had a little bit of make ahead homework for me, because the salt dough does work a little bit better if you give it a little bit of time to rest for the flour and the salt to just soak up all that moisture, and it helps it become a little bit more flexible when you are shaping your salt dough, your dough into your pinch pot. But that's not absolutely necessary. So if you haven't done that, you can go onto the Eventini website and find out the ingredients, or you're joining us from YouTube. The list of ingredients should be listed in the description. If it's not, we'll add that later. Please feel free to ask any questions in the group and the chat on YouTube, and I'll be able to see the questions pop up and be able to help you out with that. I really wanted this to be very interactive with all of you. So here, for the salto recipe, let's get started with that first. You're going to need 2 cups of flour. Oh, sorry, 2.5 cups of flour, a cup of salt, and a cup of water. You are going to want to pour the flour, get all that in there, and the salt into a bowl. Mix it up really well. This is going to be a little hard for me to do. Mix it up really well so that it is all incorporated nicely. Then what you're going to do is you're going to pour in a little bit of your water. Don't do all at once, because that'll get really complicated to mix it together. So I say go by like about 1/3 of your water and just mix it. It's going to be pretty hard because it's not a lot of water to the amount of flour you have there. It's going to be really grainy, but do the best you can. Salto is really great for kiddos because there's no heat. You can, if someone has a gluten allergy, I have seen recipes online where they use gluten-free flour. So it is good to use that as well for the kiddos who you may not want to have interacting with flour with gluten in it. So I'm going to show you mine so you can see that it's kind of really grainy. Add some more water. So this recipe took me a lot of trial and error. I found the basic recipe online for salt dough, and then I realized that Florida is very humid and it was coming out very soggy. And on a day like today where it's even more humid, that could be the case. Or sometimes you just have flour that wants to soak up every last drop, and you may need a little bit of water. So it's not, it's not French patisserie at all. You guys just go with the flow. If it's not coming together, add some more water. It's pretty hard to do this because it gets really, really stiff. Okay, so unlike yesterday, this isn't coming together as nicely as I wanted. So I'll just add a little bit more water. Easy peasy. I think if you start with that general base of, 1 part salt, 1 part water, 2 parts flour, or a little bit extra, like my recipe said, with the 2.5 cups. You can scale up, down this recipe based on how much you would like. This is a great recipe for holiday crafts. Great to make ornaments with as well. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. I want you to sprinkle your counter with a little bit of flour. Dump that salt dough on there and knead it. And you're going to knead it until it comes together and it's smooth. And the stiffer your dough is, the firmer it is, and the more it holds its shape when you're going to put it in the oven to dry. However, it becomes more brittle. So it's a fine balancing act of keeping it nice and stiff so you can get a shape that it will hold on to versus having something that's too stiff that'll just crumble apart. So you have your salt dough. Here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to wrap this in cling film and put it in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes. Or, like I said, you can use it now. It's pretty droopy. So if you wanted to make a pinch pot with it, it might get a little tricky for the little ones, for all you little ones out there. What you can do instead, though, which is a lot of fun, is instead of creating a pinch pot, you can just take a bit of it, roll it into a ball, and just flatten it out. Then you have your nice disc that you can pop in the oven at 250 for a little while, dry, and then paint. I'm going to set this aside because I have some salt dough that I've already rested. You can see that this one's a little bit firmer. It's had some time in the refrigerator to kind of settle into itself. It's not drooping too much. So before we get into making our pots, I wanted to share a little bit with you about the museum and why I thought that this would be such a fun project to do that's related to our collection. The Tampa Museum of Art has a really wonderful collection. We have some amazing ancient Greek, Etruscan, and Etruscan ceramics that are just wonderful. And this weekend, in honor of Gasparilla Festival Arts, the weekend of March 6th and 7th, the museum is free. So if you head to the museum, you'll be able to get free admission to see these wonderful pots in person. But I have some pictures for you instead so you can see it virtually. All right, swipe this off to get off some of that flour. Okay, so the museum has some of these amazing ceramic vessels, and they come in all shapes and sizes, and the different shapes and different sizes have different names. So this one over here, this is a skiphos, or a drinking cup. This one is a kylix. It's also a drinking cup, but it's a different shape, and you would drink from it a little bit differently. The kylix would have been used during a symposium or something like that. And this is an amphora. An amphora is basically a storage vessel. So amphorae could store lots of different things, from liquids to grains. So with your pinch pot, you can think of what you would like to use your pinch pot for. This is also a great to kind of get your juices flowing, thinking about how you would like to decorate your pinch pot. You know, do you want to have, you know, scenes from everyday life? You have these two men carrying what looks like an amphora here. Do you see how that looks like this shape over here? Do you see the similarities? It could have scenes from myth. So here you have Hercules fighting the Nemean lion. Or here you have a centaur, a mythical creature. So it's really whatever you can think of. You can even just make some decorations like here. You see there are just some decorations just on top of the lid here for this one. I also have this to share with you. This is a wonderful book, A Greek Potter, that tells about how these pots were made and what they were used for in ancient Greece. And you see here, there's a gentleman, a potter here, who has some clay on a wheel. And you have someone here who's spinning the wheel. So ceramics have been made for a really, really long time. And though right now we have wheels that are spun by electricity, then they used wheels too. They were just spun by people power instead of electric power. And what's really fun is right here, I love these. We have one of these little guys at the museum. These are just little ceramic dolls. They make them separately, the body, the arms, and the legs, and then they use string to tie them together. We have one of these on view at the Tampa Museum of Art if you wanted to stop by and see that. And that goes to tell you, I'm going to show you how to make a pinch pot today, but you don't have to make a pinch pot. You could make one of these little dolls yourself. You can do the disc like I mentioned before, and you can make something like this that looks a little bit like a coin, maybe an ancient Greek coin. You can make an ornament. You can make whatever you like. All right. So if anyone has any questions, here, let me pop. I did find that recipe. I'm going to pop that recipe for salt dough into the chat so you have it. Oh, well, it's too many characters. Just a moment. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask? Okay. So we'll add the recipe to into the video when we put it up on YouTube. But now we'll show you how to make a pinch pot. You have your salto that's rested in the refrigerator. You're not going to make a pinch pot that's this big. Just grab a piece of it, about a little less than a handful, right? You have your handful, and then squish it. It's really fun to play with. Squish it a little bit in your hands, and then roll it into a ball. Roll it into a ball. It doesn't have to be an absolute perfect ball, like that. And then you're going to want to hold it in one hand. Take your thumb and just boop, pop that in there. And when you don't want to go all the way through, but when you feel like it's getting really close to the bottom, let go. And if you just hold on to, you should be able to do that. Now, thumb still in your ball, a ball of salto. You just want to squeeze and pinch the sides. Start at the bottom and pinch the sides. And you're pinching it open. Now, like that. And you're just using this hand to help turn it and to help it keep its shape a little bit. You're not really using this hand to pinch it or to shape it. It's more to just keep it in one place. So because salto isn't like other clay, it gets a little floppy. Do you see how it's getting a little floppy? So you're not going to be able to make a very, very, very big pinch pot. But this is a good size, I think. Now, when you have it about the size of your hands, about a little larger than the size of your palm, you're going to want to place it on your baking surface where you're going to bake it. I've lined just the regular baking dish with some foil. Place it on there. You're going to want to give it a base, shape it. Kind of guide it so it's on its own. Okay, I'm gonna try and do this. So what you're doing is you're just giving it a base so it has somewhere to sit onto, and then just directing it upwards. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the fun of it, all right? So we have our salto pinch pot. Here's a couple things that you can do with it now. With your pinch pot as it is right now, you can leave it as it is and just set it somewhere to dry. In the Florida humidity, that might take a couple of days for it to dry on its own. Or you can put it in the oven, I would say at about 200 to 250 degrees to let it dry. So, but that does take a little bit of time as well. Putting it depending on how thick your dough is and how humid you like to keep your house. And if it's a rainy day like today, it might take a little bit longer. It might take maybe 4 to 6 hours in the oven, but you would be able to come back to your pinch pot tomorrow and paint your pinch pot. So I'm just going to set this aside and pop it in the oven a little bit later. What I do have is a pinch pot that I made earlier, where I made a few days yesterday, that I have put in the oven. See how it keeps its shape. They're really good. You can hold on to these for quite some time, especially if you seal them with some gloss spray or something like that. You can hold on to it for years. And to decorate them, we're just going to paint them, right? And seeing as you can't really paint your newly made pot along with me, I thought what we can do is we can design our pinch pots together. So there are lots of different ways that you can design your pots. I'll bring the book right now. So this band up here, you can have stripes. And this has like some little vines on it. So let's try that. It's fun. This way you get to practice, and before you paint your pot, practice and think about how you would like to decorate it, what works. So I can practice. I think once my pinch pot is dry, I think I'm going to do a band on it. I'm going to draw 2 lines. And then like this it's got 2 thick lines. And then a line going in between. And then it has little leaves coming out of it. Like that. If you want to explore the museum's YouTube page, we have a wonderful Art Spot at Home video. I believe it was our very first Art Spot at Home video that was all about meanders. And meanders are just what you would see on one of our vases here. I'm going to try and get one that has a nice big image of it for you. So here you see going around, and it's called a meander because it meanders around. It walks. It meanders all along the border of the vessel. You can draw meanders. You can write your name, your initials. I think definitely on one of my pots, I'm going to write my initials nice and big so everyone knows who the master artist who made it. I'm going to try and write my initials, a K and an A. I think I like how this looks, right? So once my pots are dry, for the paint, I've picked some acrylic paints. We have found that this color, cadmium red, is pretty close, is a pretty good, bright, vibrant approximation of our antiquities. You can add a little bit of yellow to it to make it even closer, and then black. And then you get to have, this would be a black figure, or be a red figure too. So when you have people or decorations on a vase that are on an orange or red ground, it's called black figure. And when you have something that is a black ground that is decorated with red, figures or decorations that is going to be called red figure. So I'm just going to do my initials right into this pot like I practice. Yeah, good idea. Okay, I'm going to make a twirly K. And a twirly A. All right. And then you can just set that out to dry. It's pretty close, don't you think, to what I practice? Pretty good. So I hope that you definitely try painting your pinch pots when they come out of the oven, all dry and ready for you to decorate. And if you would like to get some inspiration, maybe you want to put your pinch pot in the oven tonight and decorate it tomorrow. If you want to get some inspiration on the things you can use to decorate, visit the Tampa Museum of Art to look at our wonderful collection of Greek and Roman antiquities. The museum opens at 10 o'clock tomorrow and will be open until 5. Like I said, free admission. And also, ceramics, like I said, have been around for a long time. And they are still today one of my favorite things to see during Gasparilla Festival of Arts, because artists are doing such amazing things with ceramics today. So if you don't want to try a pinch pot and you want to try something new, experiment a little, maybe head over to one of the ceramicist websites from the GFA website to take a look at what they're doing and be inspired by a real life artist that's working today. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and pop them in the chat. I will be adding the recipe to the YouTube video in just a moment. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Get creative. Make something for your mom and your dad and your uncles or whoever your grown up is in your life, or maybe your best friend. If, or a sister. I have a sister. Sometimes she's my best friend too. Or make one for yourself to keep some of your favorite things in. And I guess that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. Pop them on the YouTube page and I'll keep an eye on it. I will be repeating this activity tomorrow. So if you think you have any questions, please join us at 10 o'clock tomorrow to ask any questions, and I'll be able to answer them live on YouTube tomorrow, March 7th at 10 a.m. All right. Bye-bye.